everyone. And yeah, the campaigning for 2024 has already started, as you can see, with the vigorous policy debates that's happening, across the board. The thing is, the idea itself of a 24-hour economy is laudable, and I make no exceptions or mince words about that. The devil, of course, is in the details, right? And what exactly we want to attain by it. But if you come from the fundamental premise that you want to create more jobs and expand the economic basket or net, then allowing more Ghanaians to work either during the day and or at night on rotating shifts or on weekends is something that is laudable. And again, remember that the world of work, especially since the COVID-19 pandemic, has actually changed, dramatically. There are like three kind of key factors that are driving this. One, the economy itself changing in the sense that you're seeing a big growth of the services sector. And within the services sector of the economy, in Ghana's case, actually the largest share of our economy with about 45% of GDP. You have a high prevalence for certain non-standard work routines. So some of your panelists in the studio have been talking about, for example, people selling maybe kenke on the streets and entertainment and you name it. The other factor is to do with the changing demography of the people. So you've got a bit more youth. And then the third factor being, technology, digitalization, etc., making all of this happening. We have some elements of a 24-hour economy that is already at play in Ghana and indeed in many other countries in Africa. But what we haven't had over the period is a deliberate effort or plan to actually connect these at a systems level that allows you to operate and run an economy both day and night. And so if you look at examples from other jurisdictions, you take, for example, in London here, in the UK, hitherto the tube or the underground didn't run 24 hours a day. But they saw that there was some latent demand in there. And by allowing people to run and to use the tube at night and ensuring safety, you suddenly had what hitherto was a small demand metamorphosing or booming into a much, much bigger economic opportunity, which ends up creating jobs and expanding the economy. In Australia as well, you have a similar thing at play. And in fact, in Australia, the government of New South Wales, which is where Sydney is, they even have got a 24-hour economy, strategy. And again, it's something similar in trying to create more opportunities and ultimately enhancing jobs and enhancing or deepening productivity. Even in Ghana, you can go back as far as the 1950s. I've seen newspaper clippings, and recently, as far as 2016, when I was doing my research for this, where one of the foremost industrialists in the country, the chief executive officer of Leroy Cables, I think the name is Kote Papafio.
That's right.
Actually put on more businesses, and here I'm quoting the news article, especially those in the manufacturing sector, to operate a 24-hour cycle to help improve productivity. So the idea itself is not bad, and it is laudable. The question that I think we ought to ask and interrogate is, what would it take to actually deliver on this 24-hour economy where people can operate day, night, shifts, etc.? And this goes back to the policy incentives that are at play, and importantly, addressing the bottlenecks that businesses currently face that is hindering them from expanding, right? So for example, if you go to Tema, and you take some of the factories there, it is not because there's no demand. The demand, the latent demand is there. But some of these factories are either underproducing or some are actually lying idle. Why? Because the business environment is constraining. So you've got high costs, you've got high taxes, electricity tariffs that are high, and ultimately what that means is that it is far more easier for some of these businesses to either shut shop and import the things from China and other places because it's relatively cheaper than to produce using either local materials and local factor inputs. So I think the conversation for me then really becomes, what should we do to anchor and to drive the expansion of services, the expansion of manufacturing, and the expansion of even the agricultural sector, so that we can run a 24/7 economy, and that by that manner you create the jobs that are needed. In fact, you look at the MPP's own manifesto, something. You go to the 2024, the budget, the 2024 budget. Look at paragraph 449 of the budget, and in that 449, 450, 460, the MPP itself talks about creating what they call a night and sports economy, right? And here they want to leverage on the opportunities that have come because of the year of return and beyond the return to deepen tourism and also, deepen people participating in that night economy. So you go to Osu or Oxford and all of these places. So for me, the issue is one of semantics. But the important thing, I think, is really fundamentally, what do you do in terms of policy incentives to ensure that the people that are manufacturing, one, able to utilize local resources for input, and number two, ultimately are able to run 24/7 such that you're able to meet the demand. I've heard people make the demand argument, and I don't fully buy it. And I don't buy it because demand can be created. Demand can be induced in terms of the policy incentives that you offer. And especially in our case, if you look at manufacturing, I have already indicated that some of the companies are actually underproducing. And the reason why they're underproducing or lying idle is not because there's no demand. It's just because the whole business environment, the taxes, the electricity, and all of that really, is hurting them. So It makes sense for them to import. So really, we need to unpack this 24-hour economy. And for me, look at really the policy incentives that are at play. And this is why I think the conversation ought to go.
So do you say...
Not to rubbish it and to say that, it's a bad idea and it wouldn't work.
So you don't say we need to fix the lack of productivity or productive work within the 8 hours first before we think about sort of doing a policy of 24 hours?
I don't buy that because you are presenting almost like a binary option to us, right? That you got to do this or the other. Both can be addressed at the same time. You can increase productivity in the day economy, in the public services and things like that. At the same time, whilst deepening, right, the night economy or people participating in that night economy, because there are tremendous opportunities, again, within that, right? If you look at some of the sectors that can benefit from this night economy beyond just what happens in the day, we're talking hotels, we're talking restaurants, we're talking arts, entertainment, transport, storage. I've talked about manufacturing. In the health sector, you've got pharmacies and the likes that can run on, 24/7. Some of them are already doing that.
Exactly.
But they can be helped to expand because the latent demand
I hear the refrain.
Wholesale.
I hear the word night used over and again. And yet we are being told that it's such a lazy thing to reduce the 24-hour economy to do performing activities in the night. Dr. Nimoy Thompson, for example, says, for some crazy reasons, the adversaries have reduced the idea of the 24-hour economy to having fun at night. Hence, in the 2024 budget, the finance minister tried to upstage Mr. Mahama by promising everything from, quote, a night and sport economy, end quote. That's page 92 of the budget statement. To
paragraph 449 to 450.
Correct, thank you. To the night economy and tourism, end quote. To the development of Black Star Square into, quote, City Light Center to drive the night economy in Accra and create a welcoming nighttime environment. And also, finally, to the use of astroturfs to create, quote, vibrant night economies, end quote, in their host communities. For the records, the word night appears only once in the 2023 budget in reference to patrols by immigration officers and so on. He says that's not what it is. It's not just about a night economy. It's not about a night economy.
No. So what Nimoy is saying, and which is absolutely right, is that the night economy is not just the entertainment bit. It's not just, creating sports centers and people going to do, call it fun, right? There's more to that, which is the input that Nimoy is saying, and what I am also saying.
Okay.
That the entertainment bit is just a component of the night economy. And that if you look at it more holistically, there's a whole range of services and that can be provided and would be captured under that night economy. So I talked about hospitality. I've talked about industry, especially manufacturing, because for me, that is one of the areas that would allow us to, again, add value to our produce and at the same time also create, right, jobs. Very important. So you're killing two birds with one stone. In the health sector, you've got opportunities in there, even administrative and support services. So people setting up, business processing centers that run, 24/7. You may recall during the Kufuor era, there was this strong push to get Ghana to become a BPO outsourcing center. Some of the companies came and left because, again, the environment was choking or constraining.
All right.
So the night economy goes beyond just, creating just,
I'm going to share a few